right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. In a little bit, we'll be joined by Carla Sans, the America First Policy Institute VP out of Pennsylvania. And also, we may be getting Sheriff Chuck Jenkins from Frederick County, Maryland, on the specifics when it comes to the deportation operation, his thoughts on the inauguration, and also in touch with RSBN's Robert McNeely as well. We may be able to contact him on a phoner real quick just to see how things are going there in Washington, as he will be on his way back here to Alabama, and then also will join me here in studio tomorrow as we bring you live event coverage in America First News, and also all of the specifics when it comes to promises made, promises kept. As you guys saw yesterday, President Trump nonstop with the executive orders. I mean, he didn't just reserve that for the Oval Office. He also did that over at the arena at Capital One Arena. So a lot of news to get to here in just a minute. Let's go to one of our first sound bites of the day. As we know, yesterday was quite the day. Around 12:15, President Trump swore the oath to become the 47th Commander-in-Chief. We'll take a look at that in just a second, but obviously a great moment last night as well at the Liberty Ball, the Commander-in-Chief Ball. Also today we will be looking at a possible video feed from Washington, D.C. from the Washington National Cathedral, as President Trump, as to tradition, on the day after the inauguration, the president would go to a prayer service. So that prayer service is slated to start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So once again, I'm Matthew Alvarez here. This is RSBN Live, and we are looking forward to sharing with you what's happening in Washington, D.C., but also when it comes to America First News, and specifically things like this coming Friday. Of course, President Trump, we're hearing, will be on Air Force One to Los Angeles for the coverage there for the LA wildfires. We'll be following that story and any press briefings that happen there at the White House. So we'll get to that oath of office here in a second as we get ready to see President Trump unveil those 200+ executive orders, which include a national emergency to the southern border, and also many of the J6ers. We're talking 1,500 of our citizens being set free because of President Trump's executive order. There are 6 commutations, which means a lesser sentence for those 6, but President Trump also looking at that situation as well. Let's go to yesterday, the great moment in time when President Trump swore the oath of office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States,
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Ronald Reagan, in his second term, was sworn into office inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Quite the moment then, and in my opinion and most of yours, a better situation with President Trump in the sense of someone that is so dedicated, of course, to freedom. Of course, we like past presidents like Ronald Reagan and, of course, Thomas Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, and to combine with those names, to have President Trump in the same group of those presidents doing great things for our country, always awesome to see. Looking live right now at President Trump's house, the White House there, with the First Lady, as they are, I'm sure President Trump already awake. He's probably been awake for several hours as he is signing more executive orders. We can take a look at some of that video and some of that sound from just yesterday in the Oval Office in just a bit. But let's go to one of the sound bites from President Trump's speech yesterday, talking about anything being possible when it comes to, being an outsider and just not giving up. So we'll get to that in just a second. And we'll also go to a part of the speech where he was talking about America first. Let's go to that first one, though. Has anything is possible.
We cannot do, and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken.
Yeah, hi. How are you, Matthew?
I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best.
Quite the day there in the U.S. Capitol building, as you saw President Trump, not only with the oath of office, but a great speech as well. My wife and I were talking about the tie that President Trump wore. A lot of us thought he was going to sport the MAGA red tie, but you know what? When you mix blue and red together, you get purple, and it was quite interesting. I said, I wonder why that is. And she said, well, he's the president of all the people. And I said, you know what? Right on, right on. So that's a great statement there, wearing that purple tie, going with the red and blue, because obviously President Trump, being the president of the entire United States, a representative for all of the people, all of we the people. So yeah, some great times yesterday, especially at those inaugural balls, as well as we saw President Trump and that personality that we've grown to love here in the country on full display there at the Commander-in-Chief Ball and then over at the Liberty Ball. And what a great night that was. So joining us now is Carla Sans with the America First. Some of your thoughts about yesterday's amazing moments in Washington, D.C.
Extraordinary, Matthew. Really, it is the beginning of a new dawn. President Trump said yesterday, the future is ours. This is the beginning of the golden age. And I really feel it. And I think, like you said about President Trump's purple tie, he's the president for all Americans. He had former enemies up on stage with him as he took the oath of office, people that literally canceled him and tried to bury him and let him have no identity. And he rose out of those ashes like a phoenix. And here he is, the commander-in-chief, telling the military, no more of this gender ideology craziness, get back to being a lethal fighting force, keep your eye on the mission, telling every cabinet secretary, find ways to save money, to bring down the costs of everything for Americans. This is really amazing and exciting.
It is. I mean, how about, and we have some video of this from the Oval Office as well, of him signing so many executive orders, and then he was signing some executive orders in front of 20,000 of our supporters at the Capital One Arena. Did you see all of that? What are your thoughts about it?
I'm so excited. He said no more EV mandates. He said, all of the wonderful things, secure the border. He said, unleash American energy, take us out of the Paris Climate Accord, which literally saves us $1 trillion. What an idea, right? His eye is on how does it benefit every American citizen. And so I'm really excited. He took us out of the corrupt and Chinese Communist Party controlled WHO, World Health Organization. All good steps.
Very good steps. And also, we're going to get to later in the show just some of those promises made, promises kept. The Trump administration sent out a press email showing the amount of promises made and promises kept already. Carla, we're less than 48 hours into the administration, And he went, as he called it, into historic speed and strength, signing these executive orders. We couldn't expect anything less, could we?
No, we couldn't. And I'm proud to say that America First Policy Institute helped to write many of those executive orders, and they have gone through the legal review. So these should hold up in spite of the lawsuits that are already being filed by the left. They're going to go kicking and screaming on every single one of these. I really like, Matthew, personally, that all of the federal employees have to come back to the office. You know, we have to show up for our jobs, and it's time for the federal employees who have really great pay, amazing benefits, like they make more than the average American citizen, not how it was supposed to be for civil servants and people working for the government. It was supposed to be sacrificial. Well, it's no longer, it's now bougie. And so let them do their work, or like President Trump said, of those 80,000 plus IRS agents, let's put them down on the border.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and speaking of the IRS, the head of the IRS has resigned. I mean, people they ran away. They said, you know what, I don't want to deal with the Trump administration. They are too bright and too much light and truth for me. So they rolled out into the darkness. Hopefully one day they'll see the light in a way and turn toward, you know, conservative values. I mean, Carla, let's just talk, you know, some common talk here in the sense of this is what this is all about for our country. We just want our Constitution to be the law of the land.
Well, and it is the law of the land. It just hasn't been being enforced. It's been being really corrupted. We're getting back to common sense leadership. President Trump is a common sense man. He's a problem solver. He's going to solve the problems. He's going to bring down the price of things. It's going to be hard, but he'll do it. And this energy effort he's making, where he is using emergency powers, that gives him tremendous leeway to use levers that he has at his hand. And then hopefully Congress will make some of these things, they'll codify them into law. But I just want to say, I hope that your viewers will press their congressmen and senators to pass one big, beautiful bill, that the tax cuts are in the first border bill. And the reason why is because if they're not, I don't think this Congress with its tiny majority can get it done. I think they may have one big bill in them this year. And Newt Gingrich, who's a political genius, said if we don't pass the tax cuts this year, we will not have a chance to hold the House. It's historical, and there's reasons. He went through it in the past, how the same thing has happened. So we have to give President Trump and the American people 4 great years. So we have to pass one big, beautiful bill this year.
Exactly. And in the Oval Office yesterday, if we could possibly take a look at that video from just yesterday, where President Trump was signing a number of the executive orders, including a national emergency on the southern border, including listing the drug cartels as a terrorist organization. And on top of that, freeing some 1,500 of our citizens, our J6ers, and then there are 6 commutations. So President Trump, again, you know, it was pretty awesome. I don't know if you saw the part where he would react every time a new executive order would be about to be signed in front of the press. He goes, oh, this is a big one. And he would sign it right away. I mean, pretty awesome stuff, Carla.
Pretty awesome stuff. And my heart goes out to those J6 prisoners who have been so mistreated by the federal government, targeted in a way that we saw our country burn from coast to coast in 2020 by Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists. Most of them were not prosecuted. Kamala Harris was actually raising money to keep them out of jail. And then the that may have stepped into the Capitol, even people that never went in. They targeted them, they prosecuted them, and it cost these people their fortunes, but also many of them are in jail.
And Carla, we were taking a live look right there at some of the previously aired footage of the president signing those executive orders. More than 200 executive orders. In your political career and history, have you ever seen a president do what President Trump just did?
No, and he's completely intentional about what he's doing. It's a joy to watch him work with his great team. This has been a plan that's been laid out. I'm proud to say, like I said earlier, AFPI has been part of this team, but he's reached out to other conservative organizations as well. There's been great minds crafting these executive orders and crafting the agenda going forward. He made a lot of promises on the campaign trail. We kept track of them, and we are working with President Trump to make sure that he's able to fulfill those promises to the American people.
Exactly. Carla, one last thought here. What was it like to wake up this morning and say, President Trump is my president?
I'm sleeping better and I feel safer because he's the commander in chief. I feel safer because the bad actors in the world, they're on their back foot now because President Trump, they know that he'll hold them accountable. And his number one priority is putting the American people and our safety first.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Carla Sans, for joining us here at RSBN. We look forward to talking to you again soon. And then maybe this week, as there are a number of news stories about to happen as well. So thank you so much again, Carla Sans.
Thank you, Matthew.
All right. So again, President Trump, of course, we saw him getting...
especially his 4 beautiful kids and his wife. Thank you guys for being here. It's a great occasion. I will say that it's pretty hard to top being sworn in as vice president and then the Buckeyes win the national championship the very same day. But this is a hell of a start to a run because Marco is one of my favorite people in Washington. And, you know, he's a son of Cuban immigrants to this country. He grew up in very humble beginnings, but he has an incredibly deep love of our nation. He is a bipartisan solutions seeker, a guy who can actually get things done, but a conservative of great principle and great vision. And I think more than almost anybody that I've met in Washington the last few years, Senator Rubio, I think, understands the distinctive priorities of President Trump and why it represents such a significant and frankly important and needed departure from a generation of failed foreign policy. Senator Rubio will be the chief diplomat of the United States of America, but he will remain a friend. I'm proud to know him, and I'm proud to do this. So, Senator Rubio, thank you. I also, of course, want to thank President Trump for nominating Senator Rubio and giving me a first easy swearing in. It's the first time I've ever sworn in an official in the United States government. And I want to thank Senator Jim Risch and his family for making this easy. You guys got this done and got it done very quickly. 99-0, right? I think even I wouldn't have got close to 99-0. So, Senator Rubio, it's a great testament to your career of service. And this is a new chapter, man. But I think you're going to do great. So, great. So I think that we're going to administer the oath, and then, Senator, you'll say a few words. Is that right? Let's do it. Okay. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Marco Rubio,
I, Marco Rubio,
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help you God. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
Busy 72 hours, yeah, maybe longer, but 96 hours, I guess. But first, I want to thank Jeanette, my wife, who has been so supportive. As the Vice President knows well, it's impossible to do any of these jobs we do here, including the Senate, but now in this new role, without the support of our family and particularly of our spouses. And so thank you for being supportive every step of the way. I would not stand here before you today without that. I'm also thrilled and grateful that all 4 of my children are here. They're the most important legacy any of us will leave behind. The most important job I'll ever have is that of a father and a husband. And I'm honored that they were able to join us. Amanda, my oldest, Daniela, my second, Anthony, our third, and then Dominic. I'm very happy they're able to see this today. I also want to thank my colleagues, Senator Risch and Ms. Risch, for joining us. He did a great job managing the committee, which brought us here to this point, but he's also been one of my closest friends in my time in the U.S. Senate. In fact, we, by reason of chance, certainly not by design, we wound up basically being first and second behind one another on seniority in every committee. So we even sat next to each other on the floor. So people thought it was a plot. It was not by design, but it's one of the most special relationships I've established. And obviously, it's an honor to be with the Vice President, who I think is going to be phenomenal. It's someone I knew and admired and actually relied on for policy ideas before he was even elected to the Senate. And now will do an extraordinary job. And for the president. I can't think of a better voice for the world and for the president's policies. As far as the task ahead, President Trump was elected to keep promises, and he's going to keep those promises. And his primary promise when it comes to foreign policy is that the priority of the United States Department of State will be the United States. It will be furthering the national interest of this country. And he's given us a very clear mandate. President Trump's made it very clear, everything we do, and this is true in government, but especially at the Department of State, everything we do must be justified by the answer to one of three questions. Does it make us stronger? Does it make us safer? And does it make us more prosperous? If it doesn't do one of those three things, we will not do it. So that is the goal, and that is the task, and that is the promise that he was elected to keep, and that is the promise he will keep, and we will help him keep. It's a transformational moment. The United States, I think, is now, as President Trump pointed out last night, and I believe deeply, we are headed into a new era that I think will make the world a safer place. We have a president who yesterday, President Trump made clear in his inaugural speech that one of the primary goals of American foreign policies is the promotion of peace. Of course, peace through strength, peace and always without abandoning our values. But I think it's extraordinary that it's something that needs to be said and hasn't been said enough in recent memory. And we look forward to being a key part of helping the president achieve his agenda that he has a clear mandate to keep. If I may take the liberty for just 15 seconds to say something in Spanish, because I know a lot of people back home would be very proud, and I want to make sure I acknowledge that. Quiero darle las gracias a Dios, a mi familia que no está aquí con nosotros hoy, a mis padres que vinieron en este país en el año 1956. Y el propósito de su vida fue que nosotros pudiéramos vivir los sueños que no fueron posibles para ellos. Es un honor increíble ser el secretario de Estado del país más poderoso y más bueno en la historia de toda la humanidad. Y es un gran honor y le doy las gracias al presidente Trump por esta oportunidad. I just said I saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. That's what I said. So. And I want to end by thanking Almighty God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is truly the singular purpose of our lives. It's the most important priority. It's the only thing that will matter when we take our last breath on this earth. But this is an extraordinary opportunity that would not have been possible with God's blessings. I'm honored and I'm privileged, cognizant of responsibility, and I want to thank President Trump for his confidence. We will work hard every second of the day to help him achieve the agenda the American people have given him to achieve. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of this today. God bless all of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the part you said no.
Bye, all. Thank you. We'll talk more soon.
Vice President Vance on the pardon. What changed, sir? Vice President Vance on the pardon, sir.
You're watching RSBN Live right there, of course. Marco Rubio being sworn in as the United States Secretary of State, Vice President Vance delivering some remarks. And then, of course, Marco Rubio in English and in Spanish sharing a statement as the new Secretary of State. So more of these appointments coming down the pike, of course, for the cabinet of the 47th Commander-in-Chief. We'll be bringing you this live coverage as we get it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Once again, this is RSBN Live. We are following America First News and also all of the developments that are happening throughout Washington, D.C. and within the Trump administration, including covering a trip. We're hearing that he'll be going to Los Angeles on Friday in Trump Force One to tour the devastation there and also to help out in any way possible for the rebuild efforts in Los Angeles. Of course, paying his respects as well, as there were 24 lives that were lost in those LA wildfires. So that'll be on Friday. Also today, we will be going to Frederick County, Maryland, where Sheriff Chuck Jenkins will be giving us a number of his thoughts about the fact that President Trump has issued a national security warning when it comes to the southern border, a national crisis there, of course, where President Trump is going to have some of the troops actually help alongside local, state, and county law enforcement to help with the southern border there. All of this brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including Colonial Metals Group. As you see right there on your screen, you can protect your IRA or 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. The QR code is right there. Now, this is a great situation because if you go to freegoldguide.com, you'll get an info kit on everything when it comes to gold and the backup plan for your dollar. So again, Colonial Metals Group, right there's the QR code. You could also go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. All right, so we know that the president has declared a national emergency. I said earlier, national security emergency. It's a national emergency on the southern border. So that's one of the executive orders that President Trump has signed, as you guys saw yesterday. And we'll throw to that video here in just a bit, just the fun back and forth that he had with some of the press there. But while he was doing some very serious actions with signing those executive orders. Also in just a bit, we'll be going to Robert McNeely in Washington, D.C., as he will join us live via phone. But let's go right now to the sheriff in Frederick County, Maryland. Sir, your thoughts about, this is Chuck Jenkins, of course, your thoughts about President Trump's great win yesterday.
Well, listen, I think President Trump's actions were absolutely appropriate, much needed, and well overdue. I think what he's done by basically saying criminal gangs, transnational gangs, we're coming after you, I think it's going to be a full court press, and certainly local law enforcement has to participate in some way.
Exactly. And so just your thoughts, though, about the inauguration. What was it like to watch the 47th Commander-in-Chief personally be sworn into office?
You know, it was great. It's a new day in America. Listen, things are going to turn around, I think, for the positive in many, many ways. But for my role as sheriff, I think that the biggest decision was that of going after the criminals, those who have deportation warrants, criminal gangs, transnational gang members, the cartels. I think one of the best things he did was basically declare that cartels are now national or international terrorist organizations. I think that was a great move.
It is a great move. And you know what? It's great to have an outsider as president because the political so-called ruling class wasn't America first. It was more about the nice cushy offices and getting the pats on the back, right?
The great thing about President Trump, he appeals to the average person, the average hardworking American citizen. They are the ones that elected Donald Trump.
Exactly right. So other than the southern border national emergency that he ordered, and the fact that he did say that the drug cartels are a terrorist organization now, the law and order being restored in this country. How about in your county, Frederick County, Maryland?